All right, so you're here because you want to get straight to the good stuff, right? Cut through the noise, find those nuggets of knowledge, maybe have that little aha moment without, spending ages searching.
Yep, that's the goal.
And that's exactly what we aim for. So today, we've got this YouTube video. It's called Easter Sunday with Rev Scott Adams from a channel, Holy Trinity Inglewood.
Right. And on the surface, it looks like, well, exactly what it says. A church service recording.
Yeah, you've got hymns, prayers, announcements about the community,
Yeah.
a sermon. Pretty standard stuff, you might think.
But when you actually dig into it, there are these really interesting little insights hidden in there.
Totally. Insights about how we plan things, what we expect from life, maybe how we handle it when things go sideways.
It goes beyond just the religious context.
Exactly. So that's our mission for this deep dive. Pull out those key bits, the ideas about planning, expectations, dealing with change that anyone can think about. Ready to jump in?
Let's do it. The service kicks off with that classic Easter greeting, Christ is risen.
He has risen indeed. Yeah, sets a hopeful tone right away.
Definitely. And then they roll into the announcements, which honestly give you such a feel for the community itself.
It's fascinating, isn't it? Like, it's so much more than just Sunday service. They mentioned a new digital marquee.
Keeping up with the times.
Right. And a Resurrection Rise offering.
Seems like even churches have to think about balancing the books, especially summer shortfalls.
Oh, absolutely. Practical realities. But what really struck me was the sheer range of things they're involved in.
Yeah, tell me about it.
Well, there were visitor cards, okay, standard enough, but then a jazz concert at another church nearby, the Lutheran one.
Shows that community connection.
Exactly. Plus a child care center, an Upward Bound meeting, so focusing on education.
AA meetings, a food ministry.
And even the local Lions Club meeting.
Yeah.
It really paints a picture of the church as this, community hub.
A vital one, addressing all sorts of needs. And they're looking forward too, right? With the new multimedia stuff. Yeah, the monitor and camera for a new multimedia ministry, better outreach, probably online, and a spring vendor fair coming up in May.
Lots going on. Definitely a sense of energy and growth. And there was music, too. Air Adams and the Kingdom Keys.
Right, adding that vibrancy,
Yeah.
showcasing local talent.
And then that birthday celebration for Marquita Curry. That part felt quite personal.
It really did. The way they talked about her passion, working with the kids, her joy. It just, it highlighted how much one person's energy can lift a whole community.
Makes you think, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Who are those people in our own lives or communities?
Totally. And all of this whole atmosphere kind of sets the scene for the sermon itself, Reverend Scott Adams.
He based it on Luke chapter 24, verses 1 to 5.
And he jumps right in with this really intriguing theme, making permanent plans for a temporary situation.
Okay, now we're getting to the core stuff.
Yeah.
We talked about insanity, but, expanded the definition.
Yes.
Said, it's not just doing the same thing expecting different results, but also maybe sticking with plans that just aren't aligned with. Well, he framed it as God's purpose, but you could say a bigger goal or reality.
Huh. Interesting angle, like being tunnel visioned on a plan that's actually missing the point.
Yeah. Have you ever done that? Looked back and thought, why was I so focused on that?
Oh, definitely. And he brought up old, rigid wineskin traditions.
Right, clinging to the old ways, resisting change.
And this concept he called low aim theory.
That one stuck with me. The idea that we sometimes just limit ourselves,
Yeah.
settle.
Yeah, like we don't even shoot for what might actually be possible.
And he linked that low aim to something he called meandering in the means.
Meandering in the means.
Like getting stuck, just preparing, always getting ready, never actually doing the thing.
Ah, okay. He used an analogy, didn't he? The pool of Bethesda.
That's the one. People just waiting for healing instead of, actively seeking it or making a move.
Yeah.
How often do we get stuck in that prep loop?
It's a fair question. Then he dropped that line. What was it? The 7 deadliest words.
Oh, yeah. We've always done things this way. Oof.
That cuts deep, right? How often do we fall back on that? It's the ultimate roadblock to innovation or just improvement.
Absolutely. But the flip side was encouraging. He urged people to kind of shake off the past regrets.
Those grave clothes of yesterday.
Yeah. And look forward with hope. Really expect something better is coming. Don't let past failures define what's next.
Which leads beautifully into the main story he used, the women going to Jesus' tomb.
Mary Magdalene, Joanna, Salome, Mary the mother of James, a whole group of them.
Right, and they were going to anoint the body.
Think about their mindset. Jesus was dead. That was the reality they knew. Burial rites, anointing with spices, that was the tradition, the respectful thing to do.
They had a plan, a very logical, careful plan based on everything they understood about life, death, and custom. They bought the spices, they organized themselves.
Makes perfect sense from their perspective.
But, and this is the key point he made, their plan, however sensible, was based entirely on a temporary situation they thought was permanent.
The finality of death.
Exactly. They were making concrete, permanent-style plans based on an understanding that was about to be completely overturned. It shows how our limited view can really box in our actions.
Such a powerful analogy for life, isn't it? We make plans based on what we see right now, assuming it's the whole story.
And the minister connects it right to the listener. He says, if you feel like it's over for you in some area.
It's not over until God says it's over. That line had some power.
Yeah. He talked about deferred dreams, feeling like you're stuck, but actually being right on the edge, the threshold of your breakthrough.
It really challenges that sense of finality we can get bogged down in.
So then the story pivots, right? The women get to the tomb.
And it's empty. Everything they planned for, prepared for, gone.
Total shock, confusion, their whole framework just collapses.
And then the angels hit them with that question.
Why do you look for the living among the dead? Wow.
Talk about direct. It just cuts right through their assumptions, doesn't it?
Completely. Forces them to stop, to rethink everything. And the minister used that question to talk more broadly.
About looking for life in the wrong places.
Yeah, seeking fulfillment or greatness in situations or mindsets that are actually stagnant or dead things, as he put it.
He mentioned something about graveyard grace.
He said it was a theological idea he didn't find very fulfilling. His point seemed to be that the focus shouldn't be on managing death or decay, but on the power of resurrection, of new life.
Makes you think, where might I be looking for life in something that's actually run its course?
Good question. And for the women in the story, this confrontation is, well, it's life-changing.
They get it. They realize their mistake. Their whole perspective shifts.
And boom, they go from mourners on a sad mission to being the very first messengers of the resurrection, the first evangelists.
Amazing turnaround. What started as grief becomes this explosion of hope.
And the empty tomb itself, the discarded grave clothes, they become these really powerful symbols.
Out with the old, in with the new. The past is literally left behind.
Right. And he mentioned restoring the years the locusts have eaten, that idea of redemption, of getting back lost time or potential.
So the message becomes, resurrection isn't just this one-off event. It's a principle.
A principle that says death or endings or failures, they aren't the final word.
More like a comma, not a period. A temporary pause before something new.
And he pointed out how Jesus just left the tomb. No hesitation, just embrace the new reality.
Which then becomes the call to action for everyone listening.
Exactly, a call to rise.
Not just literally, but raise your expectations.
Yeah, in your personal life, your family, your community, your goals. Aim higher, expect more.
Yeah, that line. The floor to the feeling today becomes the floor of a new realm tomorrow.
I like that. It speaks to constant growth, right? Always pushing the boundaries of what you thought was possible.
But he also added a dose of realism at the end, didn't he?
He did. When we go to new levels, there's going to be some new devils.
Yeah, that's keeping it real. Growth brings new challenges. It's not always smooth sailing.
And it underlines why community and support are so important when you're stretching yourself, when you're facing those new devils.
Makes sense. After the sermon, the service wrapped up with more traditional elements.
Right, more singing, like we have come into this house, that communal feeling.
The doxology, affirming their faith with the Apostles' Creed.
And then Holy Communion, very central, obviously.
Reciting those words, this is my body, this cup holds the new covenant. Sharing the bread and wine.
And singing together again. Let us break bread together. Music was clearly a big part of the whole service. Lots of hymns mentioned.
Yeah, sweet, sweet spirit, down at the cross, bless the Lord, O my soul. Quite a few.
And it all finished with the final blessing, the benediction, sending people off.
Okay, so let's distill this for you, the learner. Stepping back from the specific religious parts, what are the big takeaways here?
Well, first, I think, is the danger of making plans based on assumptions that might be temporary or just plain wrong.
Yeah, that women at the tomb story really hits that home. Their plan was logical, but their premise was flawed because they didn't have the full picture.
How often do we do that? Plan meticulously based on what we think is the reality.
All the time, probably. And then there's the whole low aim thing.
Definitely. Don't get stuck in old ways of thinking, the we've always done it this way trap.
Or just settling. Not challenging ourselves to expect more or reach higher. That meandering in the means idea, too, getting stuck in prep mode.
And